I'm I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. Excuse me. And today's topic is walking between worlds. And Maggie's all excited about that idea. So walking between worlds is like, how do we navigate if we've had a transcendent sort of experience? How do we integrate that into being in this 3D environment and bounded by the physical? So it'll be an interesting conversation, I'm sure. But before we get started, let's take a minute to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs and flowing into your bloodstream and nourishing all your cells and all your organs. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant bright light lighting you up from the inside out, electrifying and energizing and illuminating all your cells, all your electrons, all your molecules, and glowing from the inside out. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining stress or tension, negativity or fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together. Very softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel how delicious that sensation is. And bring yourselves present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome. So, walking between worlds. I know a number of you have had near death experiences and transcendent moments. And I have too. When I was about 15 years old, I had an experience where I just became knowing. I call it my enlightenment experience, but it was beyond any identity, any personality. It was beyond time and space. It was just pure knowing, pure being. And I've pretty much spent my life trying to recreate or regenerate that experience because it was ineffable. It was the truest thing I've ever experienced, and it let me know that this physicalness is not the truth. That it's something overlaid over this profound sense of presence. And I just rewatched an interview that I did for the Sustainability Now podcast that I have with my partner in that, Scott Billy. And I was interviewing. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to see you here. I was interviewing Ryland Engelhart, and Ryland Engelhart is co-founder of an organization called Kiss the Ground that is advocating for regenerative agriculture, really to save the earth. Anyway, it was a really deeply spiritual interview, which was it's different from a lot of the other interviews that we've done for Sustainability Now. But it was really about bringing love and kindness and gratitude into the workplace. Anyway, we talked about these profound experiences that we had, and it reminded me of how challenging it is to be in 3D reality uh, when we have this knowing, this deep experience of so much more. Such a much richer awareness and presence. And I also did a session with a friend yesterday who has had multiple near-death experiences and is so much more acclimated to this other place of presence. And when that experience happens, there's just this deep longing to be back there, you know, to be in that place, to be living from that place. And I don't know about you if you've had experiences like this, but I can say for myself that I have in my life experienced such deep pain and longing, because I know that there's so much more available to us. And in this interview that I just re-listened to, this friend really also has a similar experience, like knowing that moving into that place of presence is really the greatest desire of his life. Welcome, Pat. So good to see you. We're talking about walking between worlds and how to navigate in this 3D experience when we know that there is such a greater place of presence to be living in and living from. And it's a gift to have had those experiences, and it's also something of a curse in a way, because it leaves us longing for that greater richness. And I'm wondering, like, I know for years I was super depressed, in large part because I felt like I felt like I was sort of stuck here in a state of awareness that it's like being present to one's own divinity, and then being cast back into human form. And so really my whole life has been centered around trying to access that state again. And I know of many people who have had all kinds of experiences, near-death experiences with transcendent states of awareness, and presencing that, bringing that into life on a daily basis, or, you know, it just creates such a longing and desire to be there rather than here. And one of the things that we discussed in that interview was how these dreams and visions take so much time to embody, you know, to be moving into that expanded state of awareness. And I see where my connection to myself, to that transcendent state, it's been growing over time. Like my awareness, my sense of balance, my embodiment as a spiritual person has grown over time. And I wonder what your experience is like. I wonder how you, if you've had experiences of this altered state or essential state, let's call it, and how you've navigated trying to be human with that knowing of your divinity, and not always being able to have access to that place of consciousness, expanded consciousness. I think it's really interesting. I know for me, just to be candid, that it was torture. It was really torturous to be feeling so separate. And I know that some of you are able to access that state of pure presence ongoingly, and that's remarkable. And how do we integrate? How do we navigate this this between place? How do we embody the awakening? I am very curious to. I'm still seeking the access. You know, that's what the meditating is all about. That's what Joe Dispenza work is all about. That's what even these communications. Everything in my life pretty much is all about being in that place all the time. And it was interesting in this conversation with around the session with my friend. They were talking about the same thing, about really just wanting to be in that state of pure presence, pure awareness, pure awakening, pure love all the time, you know, and that what it takes to be there is the depth of our personality, our ideas, our beliefs, our attachment to our experiences, and to be able to let go of our humanness, I guess. You know, play with me with this, because I think it's something that more and more of us contend with, that more and more of us wrestle with, and I'll say struggle with, even, is being truly present here, embracing our humanity, embracing our human lives, when we have this knowing, this deep knowing of something that feels so much more real. Maggie is waxing poetical here, right? She's got lots to say about this. So I'm hoping you'll play with me with this, because I think that there's a greater awakening happening now. I think that more and more people are experiencing what we'll call supernatural states, and or we could call it our own divinity. And it's sort of like living between dimensions. How do we function as humans, and as divine beings? Like, what does it look like if we really do become enlightened? And how do we function in the physical? Like, what becomes of the physical when we are manifesting the this ongoing presence? You know, are we meditating all the time? Do we still eat? Do we still sleep? What do we do as you know, in this human form, being that light energy, that energy of love and awakened presence. I'm I'm remembering reading one of Eckhart Tolle's books, and him talking about how when he experienced enlightenment, he essentially sat on a bench for, I think it was like 2 years, looking at the world and reveling in it, and just being filled with this wonder and awe and love and connection. And I remember doing a session with someone who said that they were so close. They were so close to the door, the veil. The veil was so thin that they just wanted to be on the other side of it. And um, we we did this session, and they experienced being in that awakened place. And the thing that was in the way for them was, good morning, Gina, welcome. I don't know if I've seen you here before. So good to have you. We're talking about walking between worlds and how we reconcile transcendent experiences with being human, being in this human physical form. And anyway, the thing that was in the way for this person was the fear that they'd end up on a bench for 2 years, you know, just trying to, just being present to the world. And how would that work with business and their obligations and responsibilities in the 3D world. And it was interesting because on the other side, they were just blissful, and also not really able to, like we were going to schedule a follow-up appointment, and they were pretty much out of it, and not able at that moment to do that. And I think that, you know, they came back. I don't know. I mean, they still felt this deep connection a while later, but the blissfulness of that moment was made more mundane somehow, I think, in order to be able to function in the world. So Rosalind says, when I'm feeling an emotional desire or attachment to an idea of how to be, I remind myself I have no attachment, being here, but wanting to be there. I have no attachment. I'm practicing to take a breath and pause to be present. So when I'm feeling an emotional desire or attachment to an idea of how to be, I remind myself to have no attachment. And so taking a breath and pausing to be present. So it's amazing how powerful taking a breath can be, right? And to literally use our breath, which is the source of life for us here, right? We can't survive without breathing. If we take a breath, then we can presence ourselves more readily to being here, being here. So that's beautiful, Rosalind. Thank you so much for sharing that. And the richness of and simplicity of what it takes to presence ourselves. And I think that presencing ourselves is always about releasing ourselves from attachment, whether it be attachment to the future or the past or an idea or a belief that you know, we're running in our body and mind. So I'm just thinking about this this transcendence. I mean, the idea of it being death of what we know, and death of the thing that is doing the knowing, like that we are these idea machines, right? um, Whether we have ideas of who we are and what we are and how things are and how we should be, and as we let go of that, um, more and more we become bigger and bigger, because all those ideas and beliefs and um, experiences are things that we use to constrain ourselves, right? That we use to define ourselves. And defining ourselves is creating a boundary, right? And so this notion of transcendence is that I think it's where those boundaries disappear. So where we, in becoming less of what we know, we become more. We become bigger. We become present. We become presence. Um, so I kind of, it's interesting because my experience when I had that transcendent experience was being knowing. It was like being all. And it was being all knowing, but it wasn't in any way bounded by ideas. It wasn't bounded by any isolated knowledge. It was just being knowing. It was being presence. And it's kind of ironic, right, that in not knowing, in unknowing what we know, that I think that that's the path to that broader connection. And I can say that over time, in my life, that these boundaries are falling away more and more. Um, the the attachment to the things that I know or the things that I think I know is softening. And I wonder if that's like Rosalind, you're using that practice of breath to allow yourself to let go of those attachments. And I talk about holding beliefs with open hand, because that way we get to experiment, we get to be able to receive, right, with open hand. If we're clinging on to our beliefs, then the truth is that they have us, that they bind us. And Rosalind says, so practicing breathing takes me to that place you're talking about quicker. Yes, yes. And the breath is a magic pathway, right, to getting into that place of centeredness and wholeness and connection that goes beyond ourselves. So um, it's funny because the breath is the most is the thing that connects us to our physicalness, right? But it also is the vehicle that allows us to transcend it, right? By using the breath in a mindful way, we have the ability to access more and more of this place of awakening. I mean, I have in meditation, I have experienced like a vast nothingness, but I haven't yet. And I know many people who have actually experienced this transcendent state, this state of all love and all presence in meditation. That hasn't occurred for me yet, but um, I guess in good time, right? So practicing breathing, certainly, it's funny that it's funny to me that it really is the thing that sustains us in this physical form with all of our 3D experience, and it is the thing that we can utilize to move beyond that, the limits of the physical, all at the same time. It's remarkable. So I didn't expect to be talking about the breath and the power of the breath and the magic of it today, but I really appreciate you bringing that to light, Rosalind, because it is sort of a wonderful, magical um, irony, that um, you know it's funny that just brought to mind a story about um, the way to uh, hide the keys to the universe is, we're all seeking the keys to the universe, and the best place to hide it is within us, because we would never think to look there, right? But that's really what this thing is with the breath, is that it offers us a vehicle to access our essential nature. And so I really thank you for that, Rosalind. So the key to walking between worlds is to be presencing oneself to the breath. Perhaps that's the answer. And it's interesting to me how we have this dual nature of the mundane and the divine, and how do we reconcile that in our daily living, um, grocery shopping and cleaning the house, and how do we presence ourselves to our divine nature. I think we forget. I know I forget. I get wrapped up into this experience in 3D, and I forget to remember. So anyway, um, I just so appreciate you guys and your presence here, and the opportunity to share these musings with you in the morning. It's very enriching, and um, I think that there is an element of grace that we get to invite into our lives, and that will help to guide us in this um, walk between worlds. So Rosalind, thank you so much for your contributions to this conversation. It's always wonderful to be engaging with you guys. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And Maggie is flying around the room, but she says goodbye. And we go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, and here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And please check out the other wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network. It's such a rich community, and I I wish you breath and grace and a wonderful walk between worlds.